Tammy grew up in a small fishing community in New Brunswick as the youngest of 6 children. Her father, an alcoholic, was abusive to their mother.
I think I was probably 4 when I remember him locking my mother out of the house and hitting her and not being happy with the meal, not being happy with the house. So you never knew when he'd come home, like what kind of mood he would be in. If he would just go to sleep or if he would be angry. Finally, she had just had too much, and she decided to leave my father when he was fishing one day. And so we found a house to rent, and the only source of heat was an oil tank. And he had come home from fishing, and he was a smoker, so he was hollering out in the yard and to let me in, and she wouldn't, and so he threw cigarettes down and let our oil out. The oil didn't catch flame, but my baby sister that was 6 months old the next morning had blue hands and feet and was rushed to the hospital because it was so cold.
Family services were called in to take control of the situation, and Tammy and her siblings were split up and separated from their parents.
My heart must have broke that day as a 6-year-old and being taken away from all that I knew and my siblings. And
Tammy was eventually adopted, but struggled with feelings of rejection and feeling unwanted and unloved. As she grew older, she began drinking in an effort to block out the pain she felt in her heart.
Of course, after everybody graduated, I just continued to drink more and more and more. I really knew something was wrong when I didn't have to be around anybody to drink. It became a dark friend.
Tammy ended up having 3 children and was married 3 times, but pain and misery filled her life. Her drinking became worse and worse, and she began contemplating suicide. One night, in desperation, she called out to God.
And I said, Lord, please just take me now. It hurts too much. I can't go on any longer. I don't want to live this way. And I said I would just rather die this way and die an alcoholic.
The very next morning, Tammy received a phone call from a friend asking her to come to a church service with her. Though she felt numb with pain and sadness, she reluctantly agreed to go with her.
And so there's about 700 people in the audience, and she just explained to us that, you know, as she talks, sometimes she just sees kind of a roll tape of God showing her things will come across the screen. And then all of a sudden my body got so hot, and she said, you in the green jacket, and I was way over on the other side. She said, I want you to know that God says you're not going to die an alcoholic. And I knew that it come from God because nobody else heard. And I said, okay, Lord, I knew they come from you, so I'll go. I don't know what's on the other side, but I'll go.
Tammy had heard of an organization called Teen Challenge and felt in her heart that God wanted her to go there. Teen Challenge is a residential alcohol and drug addiction faith-based program with centers in Alberta, Atlantic Canada, Saskatchewan, and Ontario, where those struggling with alcoholism and addiction to other drugs begin their restoration.
I think the biggest thing that's happened to me is that I've learned to trust again. And maybe trust for the first time, I should say. You know, I have made mistakes, and some of it was my fault and bad choices, but what I never did, I never blamed the enemy for any of it. I blamed that little girl that carried that for all those years.
Tammy found the love she had been searching for all her life, the love of Jesus Christ.
I'm just learning to start to pick the flowers and to smell the roses, actually, to know that they are there for me. You know, that I deserve to have a full life, not just to look at it, but to really experience it. If you just trust Him, if you just put out your hands. He doesn't ask for anything else but just to put out your hands and to trust Him. And if you can just give Him a piece of your heart, a piece of hope, that's all He needs. And He'll take that, and He will take the ashes and turn it into beauty. Because He's doing it for me.